fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
We go, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on a Monday. So much happening in the world of the NFL. Jay's joining us. Oh, how we missed him for so long. Listen. There's so much I got to talk about up from here. We all got to really break this down because I think there is a lot of interesting stuff that's been happening in the NFL and is continuing to happen as we discuss a little bit more about it. But, yeah, lots of physical teams that we saw from this week. Lots of different changes. Unfortunate that some seasons had to end, unlike Michael Penix, unfortunately. Atlanta there's just nothing working for them. Kirk Cousins is going to be back, but I don't think this is going to be a better offense. I think this is the same stagnant play calling. I don't even know what to think of it. So there's lots of it to change. And what am I to think about the Denver Broncos? And then not to mention, what we watched last night between Detroit and Philadelphia. There's a lot of stuff that we got to talk about.
There is. And I want to say this real quick, but to anybody that hasn't noticed, the NFL has changed a lot over the past 3 years in terms of the way that teams are playing. NFL points scored, they are down by 150 points this year because the defenses are stepping up each and every year. And we are starting to see an era where the, fancy offenses like a Kyle Shanahan, a Sean McVay, a Matt LaFleur, and everything are starting to get stagnant and repetitious in terms of how they're playing. And these defenses are picking up on that. Ever since they went to the 2 high safety looks, you are starting to see a lot of these, trick play offenses and these high-powered offenses be more stale and, more predictable and everything, and they're getting stopped. So the defense is coming back in the NFL, and I love that.
Tell you what, though, save up your questions because we got a special guest here tonight, Coach Jags, Jeff Jagodzinski, who you remembered up in Boston College from 2007 to 2008 during the Matt Ryan era, is going to be joining us. We're going to talk a lot about that because college football is changing. NFL personnel is changing. We would love to see from a coach's perspective about that, but I want to start with this. So here's the thing. Denver obviously came away with the win yesterday. And here's the other thing that we also have to discuss about the Kansas City Chiefs is, number one, this Chiefs team is not like the previous Chiefs teams we are so used to seeing. I think that's over now. I do not believe that, in my honest opinion, when looking at this is the same Kansas City Chiefs team that can get into the playoffs, wreak havoc in the playoffs. I think these days are over. I think it's done and over with Kansas City. And things are really drastically changing. Like they're changing. And I think a lot of this has to deal with is that Kansas City, in my opinion, and I'm not here to just basically poke the bear, but I think Kansas City fans, you guys are kind of spoiled here. What do I mean by that? It's not just you're winning. It's not just that, for years and years and years, you guys have figured this out. First of all, you paid your quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, and so you know that this whole entire roster was going to be limited. I mean, number one is your whole running back core is not strong enough. Isaiah Pacheco is getting hurt too much. Kareem Hunt is basically coming past his prime. The other thing that you also have to understand and realize is that the Chiefs, Chris Jones, you signed him up to that contract. He looks like he's playing old. Travis Kelce coming back, he looks like he's playing old, even though that he could still be a reliable target. There's a lot of this that's going on. Kansas City, understand something. The league and your division is changing. It's getting physical. Defenses are starting to show up. And here's the other thing. The ground and pound football game, it exists. And whether you want to believe it or not, Kansas City, you know that these times were going to be coming. They're changing. And listen, Patrick Mahomes, we know is a great quarterback. Okay, we're not denying, and neither are we throwing shade at someone like Patrick Mahomes. But you have to understand, your division is getting tougher. The Broncos literally just beat you all with defense. And yeah, Bo Nix, I'll get to him in a second because this is actually going to be really, really feisty and interesting when you think about what I see about Bo Nix. But he didn't score a touchdown and didn't even throw a pick. So at this point, you've got him cruising and basically on cruise control. And that's the thing that you got to understand. So Bo Nix, in my opinion, is working with whatever is working with Sean Payton. Okay, that's the truth and reality behind it. But Kansas City, you knew you were going to come to this point. All right, it just happens. It happens for every team. Okay, and you got to think about this. Every division in the NFL often has times where teams can be dominant and times where things are changing. Teams are getting competitive. Coaching's getting competitive. So, again, Andy Reid is a very good coach. Never going to deny that. But once you add in Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton into the middle of the mix, listen, I'm sorry, but the Raiders just need consistency. And that's the hardest part for that. But everybody else, I don't even know what to think about with the Buffalo Bills. I don't even know what to think about with all these other teams. And the Colts are really good. The Jags literally put up an overhaul of points against the Chargers. So there's lots of things you got to consider. So the AFC, it's taking a different twist and turn. But it's going to be interesting to see what the remainder of the season looks like. But for Kansas City, this is the first time since 2015 that they've been 5-5. And they're literally on the brinks of missing the playoffs and not even winning the division. So ask yourself that question. If you're Kansas City, what do you go from here? You got no run game. You're too heavily reliant on Patrick Mahomes, and that's exactly what the reality is that they're having to settle on. All right. I want to transition to a game that was the most exciting in the NFL, and that was the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. Oh, my God. It was defensive. It was great. And I think we have to put a lot of respect on Sean McVay. This culture and what they've put together is unbelievable. The Rams are a for-real team, okay? Sean McVay with his culture understands the offense, has a grown-up at quarterback in Matthew Stafford. Stafford, by the way, is having an MVP caliber season. You don't believe it, but he's been putting the team on his back offensively, and then not to mention that, sprinkle in Devontae Adams. You got Puka Nacua. You got Kyron Williams. This Rams offense is capable of scoring in every single position. And by the way, they also traded for a corner, Roger McCreary. Remember that? It seems like they kind of figured out that problem. They got youngsters up on the defensive front who I really like, and regardless of what this was, it felt a lot like a heavyweight pound-for-pound fight like you're used to seeing like in the 90s and 2000s, right? When you would watch Evander Holyfield and you would watch like Mike Tyson and all of them. The only difference was Seattle was the heavyweight fighter that forgot their uppercut. And Sam Darnold threw 4 picks up into that game. Regardless, even up and on to that, I got to have respect for both these NFC West teams. And then not to mention, San Francisco looked good. Brock Purdy looked healthy, and there's nothing else that I can honestly say for that. And the defense, I mean, let's be honest. Robert Saleh is going to do whatever it takes for the defense to come out and play 110% day in and day out. That's just the way that you got to look at it from every single angle. But this Rams team, offensively, they understand adversity. Matt Stafford, as a grown-up, he's throwing it to a lot of these positions, and Sean McVay has just built up this culture. It's insane to me with where we watch a lot of teams where you can understand identities. And I think both these identities from Seattle And the Rams are really strong cultures. I got to give credit to Mike McDonald because this team is physical. They don't give up, regardless of even if Sam Darnold is throwing 4 picks up into this game. They're going to play physical on defense, run the football even harder just to try to penetrate through a defensive front like, the Rams have. But that was a lot of fun. And again, I think Sean McVay bringing in the energy that he does and even into the locker room, if you watch the post game, it was incredible. I was just like, this is a culture you want to have, okay? Like the game has evolved in different ways, but this right here, trust, reliability, focusing on the important stuff, and then overcoming adversities that are at your way. It's just like shifting gears. You got to be able to understand how to shift gears and have a 5th gear if you got one. And that's what the Rams did up from here. I was really impressed with it. Chase, I will tell you, I mean, I got to say this is a very strong culture that we have in the Rams. And those are the top physical teams that if the playoffs started today, I'm not facing either one of them. Regardless, Sam Darnold forgot his uppercut. Okay, I'm not facing either of them. These teams are very good. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, lots of good stuff. Coach Jackson, I'm excited about this one. I'd love to see what his perspective is right now with college and even up into the pros. Because again, by the way, you heard about the news, right? That Virginia Tech is now hiring James Franklin. He's going to the ACC. I didn't see that coming. I thought he would have been perfect with Oklahoma State, in my opinion. I think Big 12, you get a chance to kind of mix some things up, but ACC against Dabo and the Georgia Tech defense, all right.
That is an interesting, team to go to. Like, I was not expecting that. I'm still interested to see who's going to take the Penn State job and everything, but
yeah,
hopefully it's not Brian Hartline. I would love to see him stay at Ohio State and everything, but I would also love to see him go get a chance to coach, be a head coach. But in the NFL, we have seen a lot happen this year. I mean, we have seen teams that we expected to dominate and be good, be average or below average. And then, teams like the Ravens and stuff started off very, very slow, starting to pick it up a little bit, but I think they're going to hit another wall here shortly. The Steelers are going to start hitting that wall soon. Then you got teams like the Bills who are losing to opponents that we didn't even expect them to lose to.
Yep.
And the Bears.
Injuries are happening left and right, and these are crucial injuries.
Are happening left and right. Jaden Daniels, Michael
Penix is out of the season, and then you got a couple of other key components offensively and defensively that are now just decimated.
It's absolutely insane. And time in and time out, you see these injuries happen, and you're like, damn, those are really decimating the team. But the one thing I will say, and we're seeing somebody that's on the verge of being in that all-time great conversation, and that is Myles Garrett, because of having another game of 4 sacks, especially on a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. He is just 1 sack away of tying his career high in a season with 16, and he's on pace to potentially tie and or break the all-time sack record in a single season if he keeps this up. He's got the Raiders this week. He just needs 8 more sacks and everything. He's got a long way to go. We'll see what he can do, but he is the youngest player to hit 100 sacks in their career before 30, and he hit it the fastest. And he is also just past Lawrence Taylor for the most consecutive 12 sack seasons with 6 now. And man, if he isn't Defensive Player of the Year front runner, I don't know who is, because this dude is playing lights out. Too bad the team around him is not playing up to par.
Well, lots to come around. Coach Jags around the corner. We got a lot to discuss, especially too an interesting player comparison. You would never think about this when you think about the season Bo Nix is having, and that's around the corner. All righty, folks. Well, like we said, the seasons, of course, of giving is underway. We are always excited for the holiday season, especially Thanksgiving this month. And then eventually we go right into the Christmas season in December. But with seasons of thanks, Okay, we're so thankful for the NBA, college football, NFL, and NHL seasons to be underway, and that's where our partners at Payday Fantasy are right there with you all season long. Your go-to player pick'em apps, where you can pick the player when you sign up. Free $5 entry, guys. You ain't even got to pay nothing. It's free $5 right there when you sign up. And then also when you put in your deposits of up to $100 with a 100% deposit match guarantee just by using the code SNAKE. That is where you get 100% of that deposit match of up to $100. That's a lot of fun. Check out what all the fun's about at paydayfantasy.com and download it on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. At Payday Fantasy, sign up, pick the player, pick the outcome, and get paid with Payday Fantasy.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Excited for this interview here with Coach Jags. Listen, coaching has been changed over the course of years, and since I've grown up watching the game, it's been a crazy carousel. And so to join us, who knows a thing or two, a lot about the coaching aspect, from coordinator to head coach, and best known for his seasons with Boston College, Coach Jags, right here with us on the program. I meant to ask this because I was a youngster, and I remember watching the days of Boston College from 07 and 08, and you had the opportunity and the chance to coach with a young quarterback by the name of Matt Ryan, and just the way that the season went for you guys. What was that experience like? Because to coach a guy that I heard a lot of rumblings coming into the draft, gets drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, and sure enough, he was a promising quarterback. And so tell me what that experience was for you as a head coach and what it really meant to you at that time.
You know, he was one of those guys. I just had my introductory press conference, and I got a chance to meet with the team for the first time, and I walked back up to my office, and Matt Ryan's following me into my office, and I started talking to him, and Matt Hasselbeck, I had him too. Mm-hmm. And I remember calling Steve Logan, who was my coordinator, and I said, Steve, I go, let me tell you what we've got. I said, this kid is super sharp, and I think he's going to be a really, really good one for us. So, like, when he was coming out, when we got him, he was projected as like a 4th round pick, mm-hmm. right? Yeah. And he just he took the playbook and he absorbed that thing in about 2 weeks, and he knew it all. Mm-hmm. And I remember our first 2-minute drill, Matt Ryan says to Logan, he goes, well, what do you want me to call? Because he never ran a 2-minute drill before.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And Logan goes, call whatever you want to call. You know, I go, here's your handful of plays. And he did. And Matt really came on the scene. We opened up with Wake Forest, and he threw a pick 6 in the first series. It's like, I said, oh, man. I said, okay. But anyways, we went down to Georgia Tech. It was on a Saturday night game down in Atlanta, and he just lit it up. And that's where he came onto the scene. I mean, he threw for, 350 yards, but he was throwing dimes on people. And then it was like, that's when he became on the national scene. I tell you, we didn't throw the ball enough, Jake. We really didn't. I mean, the kid threw for 4,000 yards or whatever it was, but we should have thrown it a lot more than that. But
man,
it was fun. He was a great guy. There's just another story about him. I mean, it was coming around the draft, And he comes in and he goes, I just they're projecting me go like at number 8, and he didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. and he's worried about where they're going in the 8th pick or whatever. And he ended up going down to Atlanta, and obviously the history writes itself on that one.
I'll tell you what, though, because it's got to make you feel proud as a coach, when you get a product from your program and he goes out and he succeeds in his way, it's just got to make you feel good all the way around. And especially representing for a program that, I watch Boston College in many multiple spurts, and they produce some very good players. Yeah. And I will tell you, so we'll get into it. So we just got the news earlier that Virginia Tech is arriving with James Franklin. You've played in this conference in the ACC. And we know, obviously, with the Dabo Sweeneys of Clemson, Georgia Tech's defense, and even with Haynes King that they have right now, this conference, amongst, the conference he's played in before with, the Big Ten, it's in the trenches, it's physical. Tell me about that. Like, what's your thoughts into this job? Because as an experienced coach in the ACC, there's competition play, but of course, you even got to think about some of these programs from the outside that you're looking into, especially now that we have our 12-team playoff. What do you make of this?
Right. You know what? I like James. I thought he did a good job in the Big Ten, but obviously it wasn't good enough. But just think how crazy this is, Jake. The guy who played at Notre Dame in the semis, and then all of a sudden goes, you know what? I think we're good. You can get out of here. And if like all of these contracts and all these guys are getting paid, I just don't think I'd be coaching another down, Jake. I'm going to try to get into probably own a couple radio stations, bring you on as like the main guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But the Virginia Tech, there's just some great deals. Coaching against Frank Beamer. I mean, we had some battles. I mean, the 2 years I was at BC, we beat them in the regular season, and then we played them in the ACC championship game, and we lost both of those games, going to the Orange Bowl. But I always had a lot of respect for that whole league. Butch Davis was a coach down at Miami at the time. I mean, there was a lot of really good football. Bobby Bowden, we went down to Florida State. They had a whiteout. I remember going to the midfield with Bobby, and he goes, "How old are you?" I said, 43. He goes, "Boy, you're just a kid." I said, "Yeah, well," and we kicked their ass, and we. But no, he was great. But there's just so many really good coaches there, and just the way the college atmosphere is these days, Jake. I was looking at some of the guys I had at BC. I wrote this. I had Matt Ryan, BJ Raji, who was a first rounder at Green Bay.
That's right.
Anthony Costanzo, who was a first rounder at Indianapolis. Kaiser Chairless was both tackles were first rounders. My quarterback was a first rounder. And damn, why didn't I win more games than that? And the other guy was Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? In today's atmosphere, how would I keep any of those guys?
Oh, it's funny. I'm actually happy you brought it in because to me, the atmosphere, and listen, I'm 30 years old and I'm part of the millennial. And I always say this, like we're a caffeinated society. And there's 2 companies I blame, Amazon and Starbucks, because the minute you get that caffeine fix, it's like everybody's just wanting something right now. Like the expectations are high, the money gets bigger. And, you watched what happened with, Brian Kelly. He's now relieved at LSU. Obviously, James Franklin gone at Penn State, goes to Virginia Tech. And then it's like, who else is next? And I mean, the level of expectation is insane. And then not to mention, throw on the cake, NIL, transfer portal. It's like, if you were to honestly coach up in this, Coach, I have to feel for a lot of these coaches, you included, because that's a lot of work, because not only are you thinking about recruiting, but you're also thinking about these guys you could tap into in the portal to figure out what position do we got to fill right now, and then get the recruitment to build up in the future. That's a lot of work. And that's got to be like 7 straight days of stress at that point.
I mean, there's more stress than that because the money's so big right now, Jake, and just the money's way too much. I mean, but that's the way college football is. Nick Saban was getting those players. You're like, and I got a lot of respect for Nick, but Nick was getting a lot of the best players too, And then all of a sudden that playing field became neutral, right? And everybody else had the money to go ahead and get those guys too. And am I saying Nick bought players? No, but I guarantee he had somebody helping him out on that deal. You know what I mean? So just the way the NIL is now, it's crazy. I mean, I would have never been able to kept all those players at BC, and there's no way that we would have got to like number 2 in the country. It was we wouldn't have been able to keep. I wouldn't have been able to keep those guys because it's just a different deal, right? I mean, Alabama or Auburn or Boston College, they're not in the same playing field, you know. Yeah. So, but I tell you, the guy that's really got me impressed the most and is the guy at Indiana.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
Curt Cignetti,
Kurt, for what he's done. In fact, I remember when I got the BC job. See, Cignetti's a Pittsburgh guy, but I was with Mike McCarthy, and he goes, Jags, you need to hire Cignetti as a quarterback coach. I didn't know him. I said, no, I got a guy already, Mike. And he's had a great career, and he's cocky enough to pull that thing off. And he's sitting there at number 2 at Indiana. Come on.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, and even with a quarterback like Fernando Mendoza, I mean, the kid at his size and just the pocket awareness, the accuracy, like it's insane to me. And what's funny is like a basketball program that their football program is succeeding. I'm like, this is why when all the coaches dropped, they were like, oh no, we need to ink him for 8 years. Like, we ain't letting go of this guy.
But the thing is, he's already paid his contract off with the gate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's already paid that thing off. I mean, good for him. And you know what? I'm happy for that guy. I really am, because the thing is, he didn't do it the easy way. He went to some crappy school in North Carolina and Division I AA. What was it? Elon College or something?
Yep, Elon College, and then eventually making to James Madison and doing what he does.
JMU is a good program, but that just goes to show you, he brought a lot of those players from JMU into the Big Ten.
And they're playing like this. It's
lights out. I know, and I'm pulling for the guy. I really am. It's fun.
Same here. This 12-team playoff is going to be. I've never seen anything like it. But what's funny about it is you can't take out Alabama that easily. I mean, the minute that this is no Nick Saban, but you got Kalen DeBoer up over there, and it's like they're back in it after just a year of being away. And then you got all these other programs that are also deeming to be competitive and showing exactly what they have.
You know what? Hey, here's the thing about that. You never want to take over for a legend.
Oh, no, 100%.
You want to be the next guy after that guy, right? You want to be the next guy after DeBoer. It's like, okay, here we go. Right? It's hard to follow a legend, Bobby Bowden. Just the guys that we were talking about, Bobby Bowden and Frank Beamer. It's like, it's hard to go after a legend now.
Yeah.
Tough. Hard shoes to fill.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially too, you still got the legends of Bear Bryant, a lot of these other great coaches. It's difficult. It's bigger shoes to fill. So I gotta say, you've had the opportunity of experiencing both in the college and the pro level. And I know, like, right now, there are 2 coaching jobs that are open in the NFL, potentially going to be more the closer we get to the end of the season. Now, as a coordinator, because I'm watching the Giants game, right? And watching the Packers. And I got to say, my biggest question was not of that, like, it's all over for the Giants, obviously with Dable gone, but Mike Kafka, who has had experiences with Kansas City and a couple places, he's known to clean some things up and then try to structurize it as best as he can. I watched a couple of some plays, Jeff, and I felt like he got some things together on his play scheming. Watching Jameis Winston, simple throws, not do too much. The Giants' identity looked a little different. Now, here's the question now. Do you want to go through the headache of going through a new coaching staff, new coordinators, or do you feel like you might have a little something here with this coach in Mike Kafka?
Here's the thing, Jake. I do a Locked On Packers squad show. So we had this talk last night about the thing that I was impressed, and he's not going to get the job. There's just not. You're just not going to hire a guy. I mean, they're 2-9. They're not going to do. They're not going to do that. They're going to get a sexy hire because you got to win the press conference in New York. You do.
Mhm.
I don't know who that guy is, but I'll tell you one thing that Kafka did last night is on fourth down, he went on 3 or 4 times and made it. He played to win that game. He didn't play to like, just punt it. He didn't care, and he coached that way. And I don't know the man personally, but I was impressed. Jameis Winston, I mean, the guy ran a crappy route. That's why the thing got picked off. He didn't run a corner route, and he threw a corner pass, and the thing got picked off right there at the end. But I think, there's a lot of good coaches out there, Jake. There's a bunch of guys out there that are really good, and I hope they're deserving. But they're all young now. I'm an old guy.
Yeah, they are. But
they're like your age.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, though. I mean, even when you look at guys like the McVays or the McDonald's or these guys, I mean, of course you're going to want to try to find the guy. But in my opinion, when I look at it, I'm a mixture of old school, new technology.
Who is that guy for you?
I think for that guy, I'll be honest with you. Either I got 3 coaches in mind. Jesse Minter, for one. I
coached with Jesse at Georgia State.
How good was he? Was he the guy that you knew could change a culture right then and there? Or
well, here's the thing. His dad was a head coach at Cincinnati. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
And Jesse's been a coordinator since he's been about 29 years old.
Oh, wow.
He was that guy, right? And and when I was with him at Georgia State, he had to be 35, maybe 36. But he was just a young guy, but he had a lot of talent. And I'll tell you another guy, and probably a lot of people don't know this, that Ryan Day was my wide receiver coach at BC.
Oh, how about that? That's got to be shocking my co-host Chase up on there, because he's an Ohio State fan, and watching Ryan Day, what he's doing now is it's incredible. And then you look at Brian Hartline, what he's looking like right now.
Right. And Ryan, I knew Ryan was going to be a guy. You just knew, and he was young. Super young. And just a quick story about him. We were playing Virginia Tech, and he got appendicitis. It was that Thursday night game. It was and he had appendicitis, and he had a surgery, and he flew down for the game, so he coached in the game and that deal. And that was a game that we won it on the last play of the game at Virginia Tech. And they plugged in at the time, the Red Sox were playing in the World Series, and they plugged our game into the Jumbotron at Fenway.
Oh,
and
wow.
But anyway, there's just so many stories, Jake, and it's been a great ride for me.
That's incredible, though. But I do got to ask, though, because especially with these coaches, because I mentioned Jesse Minter, I think it could honestly change a culture. And what Mike McDonald's doing in Seattle, I think is incredible. He's worked on his side of the ball on defense. And even though, like I said, I think Sam Darnold, it was 2 heavy pound fighters that one forgot the uppercut at home. But it's okay. The team still managed to fight. I felt like Brian Flores, he deserves another chance. I'm watching what Minnesota's doing on the defense, and I think, honestly, it was an unfair shot in Miami. Of course, everything kind of came out of it, but I do believe that if you put him in the right place and you give him a really good offensive coordinator, a right-hand man, I think he could change a culture up from there. And another one, look at what San Francisco is looking like with Robert Saleh as the DC. The Jets really fumbled up and on with that. But do you believe we're coming to a point whereas the game is just quickly evolving? Now, you still got your Andy Reids and your Jim Harbaughs and a lot of them that are still kicking around.
Those are old school guys.
Yeah. Do you feel like, is it good to have a healthy mix of old school mentality and then having the new school technology, but yet you got to have a mixture of both? Do you feel like that's kind of how a culture's got to be built these days?
The thing is with the analytics and all that, Jake, it's just, I get the analytics deal, but it's kind of like as a coach, you got to go on your gut feeling too. Yep. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of these guys that have come into the college coaching profession, and they're great computer guys, but they don't know how to coach. Yeah. And I'm serious. I mean, they're whoa, this is what you should do on 3rd and 4 inches, but hang on, the wind is going on the northwest. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of the young guys that are coming into the profession. I say young guys, I'm talking about 25 to 30 years old, but they don't know they haven't really had the time to coach, but they know all the analytics and all the computers and all of that stuff, which I don't know any of it. I'm lucky I got on your show tonight, to be honest with you.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, I'm happy you did, because to me, listen, I've always loved old school. I mean, I've grown up with old school baseball in my life, watching the World Series and, watching a lot of the great broadcasters. And to me, it's like analytics statistics are cute, but to me, I'm all about manalytics. I'm about that fire in your belly, gut type of thing. When you're in that situation, it's like we talk about the tush push all the time. You're on a 4th and 1, 4th and 2. What are you going to do from there? You're going to fight to get possession on your side to wear out the defense and score? Or are you just going to fold? And then it's like, oh, we just missed an opportunity.
Do you think they're going to keep that, Jake?
Honestly, I mean, I hope they do. I really do, because to me, it's like these youngsters and what I believe in, and I'm a big advocate for this, and I say as America's honesty mind, I cannot lie to my audience, but to me, you got to have a mixture of both. You got to have the older generation to be willing to put their arms around the youngsters and coach them and structurize them and make them understand it, while they are developing right now with these technologies of the completion percentages, efficiency, and all this other stuff. But it's like, you got to have the experience too. If you've been in there, you've heard the roaring of the crowd, because especially as a college coach too, when you go to different campuses and different stadiums, oh man, could you imagine being in a night game in Death Valley or even up in Ann Arbor in Michigan? It's like, what are you going to do from there?
I remember playing Clemson down there. Tommy Bowden actually was the head coach at that deal. We won on the last play of the game in that Death Valley. Now, what an atmosphere! There's some great atmospheres and great venues in the ACC. There really are.
It's fantastic. Yeah. And to me, I live in Colorado.
It's really a cool thing.
It's funny. I live in Colorado, and I have yet to go. Yeah, I have yet to go down and see.
Jake,
up in around close to Denver. I'm up in Parker, but I'm willing to go about 45 minutes to go down to Boulder to watch the Buffs play up in Folsom Field, and I got to see with my own eyes. I'm like, what's going on, Prime? Like, what is happening up in this?
Right. I tell you, how about a $10 million deal and you're winning 3 games? I got to get a contract like that, man.
Right? Like the money's just getting expensive, and it's like 3 games.
But you're not winning. Nobody. He's not winning. I tell you, the thing with the Shedeur deal. I remember watching that from kind of like afar, and I never bought into the hype with the guy. And like what did he go for 4 of 16 yesterday?
Yeah, 4 of 16. Oh yeah.
Maybe those guys weren't wrong in the draft room.
My big thing is like this. I am a glass half full guy, because to me personally is like, Dylan Gabriel goes out with a concussion, right? And he comes into an unfortunate situation where you got to come in, you got to play. You didn't even get the reps up in the first team, but that doesn't mean that there's no room for improvement somewhere, and that's where I think now I actually got the news, and Chase knows this too, is he's going to be starting against the Raiders this week.
Yep, I heard that.
And so now here's the thing. You got days to practice. You got days to conduct and straighten this thing out to where now you got to go out there, and there's cameras everywhere. Media, analysts, they're all looking at you. Right. You got to be able to perform in the best way possible. Give them a reason to think differently about what right now they're putting up on media.
I don't see it, Jake. I don't, and believe what you see. How many times did he get sacked at Colorado? And I know maybe they had a really bad offensive line. I don't know. But I mean, to get your jersey retired and you didn't win a bowl game? Come on, man.
That was the most Colorado thing to do.
But that's true. But the thing is, like, Cam Newton just got his retired at Auburn.
I mean, rightfully so, a Heisman Trophy winner, and
that's what I'm saying. It's like, holy cow. But anyways, hey, it is what it is. It's all about the media and everything and the hype. So
yeah. And my biggest hope is that if you could prove to me you're throwing 60 plus completion percentage,
right,
and you are efficient up into that where you're getting more first downs, time of possession. And even if you come away with 1 score, I'm not expecting you to go 2 or 3, but if you get 1 score, you look efficient. I'm like, okay, there's something there. So we're going to be evaluating this because this is going to be, we'll find out this week.
We'll see if it's legendary or not.
Man, absolutely. Coach, listen, it's been an absolute blast.
Thanks
Love
for having me on, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. You got a great show, a lot of energy.
I tell you what, hey, if you're opened up for business, I'm all ears.
Just call me up. I'll be back.
Absolutely, man. Take care of yourself. Listen, enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday, man. Holiday season with us, and we will see you soon.
Yep, take care.
Absolutely. Oh, man, I loved it. How about that, Chase? Coach, you gotta. I was actually really fired up for this one because I don't think many fans understand what goes on the mind of coaches. I don't think they do, because it's like it's so stressful and you have a lot of things to think about. I mean, in the college job, like you got a lot of days you got to prepare, you got to recruit, you got a lot of things to do. And then in the NFL, sure, you got some days off, but you're managing grown men in there. And it's like, how do you prepare up from this? So
yeah,
I will say though, that's really something with him coaching with Matt Ryan. And that literally was what was the deal. That's insane.
That is insane just to hear like the mindset of what goes beyond, goes on behind the scenes and everything.
Yeah.
And like, I honestly have to disagree with him. Like, I know that he's a coach and everything, and he, has been around this game for so long.
With the Shedeur? Oh, yeah.
With the Shedeur thing, because like he didn't get any reps with the ones and everything.
Yes.
And then, but like the sacks that you saw in the preseason and everything, he was playing with guys that were very like fifth string offensive
third
the very next day.
Rangers, yeah.
And like, and he's just like, I just don't see it. Like, how many times have we heard from the media and college coaches and coaches in the NFL about quarterbacks coming out saying like, oh, I don't see it. Oh, they don't have this. Oh, they don't have that. Like, there's nothing that, jumps off the page. And then they turn out to be great. I mean, they were saying the same thing with Patrick Mahomes coming out into that draft class and everything, saying like, what are the Kansas City Chiefs doing drafting a guy this high in the draft and everything? And then like, you had guys that have played in the NFL, guys like coaches that have coached in the NFL, didn't even think anything about Patrick Mahomes. And now look at him. He's arguably the best quarterback in the NFL, if not top 5. And like, I think that a lot of things that people were looking at with Shedeur was the immaturity. I watched his press conference yesterday after the game. Yeah. And the way that he deflected the question and everything about, how it felt and to be out there and how the fans were reacting, and then shifting it towards like, it sucks the way that Dylan Gabriel's being treated, and it sucks the way that, the fans were acting and everything, because it's putting a lot of pressure on Dylan and everything. And like the way that he answered that shows very high class, very high maturity, and very great leadership and everything. And I think what we're going to hope. Too quick to judge Shedeur because he went 4 for 16 with 1 interception and everything and didn't do very well. Like, I agree. Of course you did.
And at the same time, I mean, you're playing a team in which by the way, that was not even pretty at all from Baltimore. I mean, but because you have Derrick Henry and you think you're running him enough and you really aren't. I don't know what it is about Baltimore with this whole Derrick Henry thing. But again, I do agree that this was also a Baltimore team in 3 straight games who defensively, they got better since they traded for Alohi Gilman. Like their defense changed, which again, it can happen for a lot of these teams. I'm holding my breath though, because again, after hearing the news today, he's starting against the Raiders. Now,
is it confirmed?
It is confirmed. It is confirmed.
Kevin already came out and said that if Dylan's cleared to go, he's going to start.
He is confirmed. The concussion protocol is legit. It's confirmed. He's going to be playing against the Raiders. So now, finally, you and I can put our scouting glasses on. We can finally end up seeing what's going on from there. But let's get up into the news.
And like the whole he got sacked so many times in college. Do you know what the offensive line ranked?
Oh, I know. It was bad. It was bad.
It was below the average, below the below average tier. Like, it was arguably the worst offensive line in the league. And he still put up 3,400 yards. 4,100 yards and 34 touchdowns and everything. And threw 7 interceptions. and had Travis Hunter as his best offensive playmaker and everything. And,
Oh, yeah.
And it goes to show you, look how good the Colorado Buffaloes were. They were 9-3 with Shedeur. They're 3-8 right now without him.
Yeah, they're having now Juju Lewis being their starting quarterback, which again, it to me, it's all about focusing on your program, because at the end of the day, your kid's out there doing his own thing. Focus up on the program, get yourself straight, because they're going to need to fix this up. I mean, when was the last time that Colorado even had an efficient run game? I haven't even recalled in the last few years. So there's been a lot that's changed up.
And if you also want to look at it, like look at how much momentum and like how much of a spark that team showed when Shedeur got in there. I mean,
it was changing everything.
Dylan Gabriel had 184 pass attempts and everything, and had only 2 passes that were above 20 yards down the field. Shedeur comes in, throws 16 passes, and has at least one of them as a 25-yard shot down the middle of the field to Harold Fannin Jr. I think that with a week of preparation, a week of getting into the playbook, and understanding how these guys run their routes and everything, we are going to see a much better play out of Shedeur. And I don't want to step on Coach's toes because he's done this far longer than we have, has been around a lot of NFL talent and a lot of talent in college football that he has seen come through there.
I was really surprised.
Media people, we have seen coaches, we have seen players talk about guys that come out saying that they're not going to do very well and then end up being superstars. So I am not going to sit here and say Shedeur is a bust until we get enough sample size, like what we saw with Dylan Gabriel. Gabriel got 5 or 6 games. Let's give Shedeur 5 or 6 games before we go ahead and make that comparison and that judgment and say, it's time to draft like a Fernando Mendoza in this draft.
I agree. Let's get up into the news.
And now, here we go. Hey everyone, it's story time. This is the Hot Press.
Lots of news up and around here, man, and it's interesting what's happening up into the NFL. So what we got?
Lots of news that has gone on. You have seen the injury bug plague a lot of people. Garrett Wilson has been put on IR. Sam Laporta has been put on IR. J.K. Dobbins just recently got put on IR. And now you have Michael Penix Jr. and Drake London going on IR as well. And it's absolutely insane the fact that the injuries are piling up for a lot of NFL teams this year. And in the midst of teams that are on the borderline of playoff teams and, could use these players. I mean, Omarion Hampton is a guy who
he'll be back after the bye. Yeah,
he had a high ankle sprain in week 4. And it's been almost 6 weeks and he's still not back yet. I'm like, high ankle sprains do not take that long.
They don't, but here's the thing. They are precautious about just the severity of it because, again, these are your superstars. These are your guys that are going to be the movers and shakers in your organization. I will say this. Like I told you, I really expected Atlanta to be better than this, but this is disappointing. And I think it's unfortunate. I understand Kirk Cousins is coming in, but Chase, I'm telling you, this offense looked so stagnant. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, Bryce Young, he looked good in Carolina. And I think it's just sad and unfortunate. This team is 3-6. You have all these weapons. You have a second-year quarterback that you would hope they would have gotten this figured out. I don't know what they need to do, Chase. I just feel like you need a new OC. I think you need to have somebody that can understand the play calling with a left-handed quarterback. I know it kind of reverts sometimes, but this is just, I cannot believe it. I thought this team would have been a playoff team up on paper, and yet they're still the dirty, embarrassing birds again. It's really sad. I feel bad for Michael Penix because I don't want to write him off right now because he's very efficient in the pocket, has a strong pocket presence, and I know can make the throws. I just can't do it for him. But
I mean, what do you expect when you got a team that has one high-class playmaker on in the receiving core, and
That's
then you got a mediocre offensive line and everything, and that's been the problem
true,
across
look at the way that they're even
throughout
utilizing Bijan.
Their offensive line's been garbage.
Well, look at how they're utilizing Bijan.
Yeah,
I didn't even think that Bijan is only set to a certain type of play, and you're not running it majority of the time. Like you're coming up with something different, and it ain't working, and then you're trying to revert, and then it's a little too late. And I just think it's unfortunate because here's the thing: Jaden Daniels now has more injuries accumulated on him, and Bo Nix. I mean, we'll get to that in a second because you'll be surprised what I have for him. And it's been the year of Caleb Williams and Drake May.
Yeah.
What were the odds about that?
It really has, but I will give that credit to Josh McDaniels. He may be a terrible head coach, but he's an amazing play caller.
That's where Vrabel was smart on that.
Great at developing talent. Let's move on to the disciplinary side of things for the NFL. There's been a lot of discipline action that has been taken in terms of handing out suspensions or fines left and right in the NFL. And the most recent one is Jamar Chase has been suspended by the NFL for at least one game for the so-called spitting fiasco that happened against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jalen Ramsey's been known to do that his whole career against a lot of players and has been caught on tape doing it. But now you have a spotlight going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals, and then the big scuffle. And now Jamar Chase the Bengals are going to be without arguably their top offensive playmaker coming into this next game that they have.
Yeah, you know what? This has been a year of players just spitting. Like Dak Prescott and Jamar. What the hell is this about?
Jalen
I don't
Carter,
know.
Yeah,
Jalen Carter. And so I don't know. I feel like these guys need to clean the act up. I don't care who did it, but the fact of the matter is, and remember, you spit on somebody, they're not going after you. They're not even thinking about anything else. They're just going after you, okay? And I don't believe, Jamar Chase honestly was in the right for that. Because regardless of how Jalen Ramsey had to hold a lot of that stuff in. But still, I just feel like there just has to be that disciplinary. I mean, the NFL got it right with 1 game suspension because now you're just basically looking at, and then once again, here's Joe Burrow throwing his hands up like, bruh, what are you doing? You got a contract extension and you're spitting? What are you doing? And that's where you look at now with the remaining games Cincinnati really has. And you really think that if Joe Burrow, if he comes back healthy, you think he's going to be fond of that? I wouldn't. As a star quarterback, I wouldn't be.
I wouldn't be shocked if they set Joe Burrow for the rest of the season so that way that he doesn't get injured. Your playoff hopes are over. You're not really going to see a whole lot from the Cincinnati Bengals. I'd say just sit Joe Burrow. Let's move on to the news that we just talked about a little bit ago. And if it is official, I didn't see anything on it and everything, but we've got Shedeur Sanders making his official NFL debut, true NFL debut, starting a game versus the Las Vegas Raiders in Vegas this next week. Now, the thing that we are going to have to check out is if he goes out there and balls out with these number 1 guys and, he leads them to victory, we will see a multitude of different things unfold for the Cleveland Browns. 1, will that save Kevin Stefanski's job if Shedeur ends up winning a few games down the stretch because of that? And number 2 is, do you go back to Dylan Gabriel if Shedeur ends up balling out? Because what a perfect game for him to go in against, because you got a team that does not have a good secondary, has a mediocre offensive line, and has only Max Crosby that you have to worry about on the defensive side of the ball. And if this turns out to be what the Browns need and is the future, you can go into the draft knowing, okay, we don't need to focus on drafting this quarterback. We can trade back. We can get one of the top offensive linemen and then work on trying to get a couple picks acquired for next year and go after a top offensive playmaker like a Jeremiah Smith. This would be the most perfect setup for the Cleveland Browns for the future.
No, I completely agree. I think, one of my big things, and we've been talking about this for quite some time, is that now because the opportunity, so they came back with the MRI and they have confirmed that this concussion protocol is going to want to leave Dillon Gabriel sidelined for a week, like just to at the very least be on the safe side. So this allows for Shedeur to now have to prove to himself what he's about, and at the same time how he'll look even with just the first team reps. I mean, the funny thing of it is like you come into a lot of unfortunate situations have happened in the NFL. I mean, Justin Herbert had to come in when, Tyrod Taylor and the needle and all that stuff, he came in and he looked really good against the Chiefs in week 2. And then you look at a couple of other teams that have looked good. I mean, unfortunately, the Giants, they have no healthy offensive line, but Jackson Dart is the future. Like, he's very good at what he is right now for New York, but you got to fix up that offensive line. The last thing you want to do is leave your quarterback in 4 concussion protocols, and then now he can't even look straight. That's the one thing that, like, with Shedeur is now give me pocket awareness, give me efficiency on the short, like under 20-yard, and then show me what you can do as far as stretching the field out, because that's what's going to be the most important thing for a lot of our scouting eyes, is that he just has to be efficient enough to overcome the adversity, knowing where Cleveland's situation is. But, I mean, if he could do that, then there's something else to talk about. But until then, take the practices, take what you could get from it, and we'll see you Sunday. That's really what
best way to help him prepare is unleash Myles Garrett, unleash this defensive line. Make it at practice to where he is the most uncomfortable and can still make something happen. Because if he can do it against our D-line, against arguably the best defensive player in the NFL in terms of edge rusher, if he can do it against this defense and this edge rusher and this defensive line, he can do it against anybody. And if you can get him comfortable enough in the pocket to where he is okay with stepping up, making the big throws, is aware of what's going on around him, we are going to see a much more poised, ready, and dominant Shedeur than what we saw for his debut against the Ravens this past week. And I'm telling you this right now, it'll be the Las Vegas Raiders, and it will not be a high-powered team. But we have failed to put up more than 23 points as an offense collectively. If we can go in there with Shedeur and he puts up 25 or 30 points, there is no way that Kevin Stefanski can deny and go back to Dillon Gabriel after a performance like that. Yeah. There is no way that you can do that in the NFL.
You already know this is going to be a dicey situation, but we'll see what pans out for at least for both parties.
And the last piece of news that I've got, because it is a lot, but there has been a lot of NFL scouts at these games watching these quarterbacks, Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore, even though he has already come out and said that he's going back to Oregon, he might change his mind if his agent believes he could be a top 5 pick in the draft, and then Ty Simpson. But the one thing that a lot of people are not seeing is that these NFL scouts are at the Utah games, the Alabama games, the Florida Gator games, because they are looking at these offensive line prospects. We have had a multitude of teams have trouble with offensive line and trouble drafting them. I think that we have a quarterback developmental problem in college football. There's also an O-line developmental problem in college football. And when you get a lot of these top offensive linemen that get drafted, they're either having difficulty adjusting to the NFL, or they are not developing properly in college football. And a lot of teams now, their biggest priority is protecting the assets that they are either going to get or already have. So these offensive line prospects are getting scouted more and more against a lot of these SEC teams to see how they're playing, because they want to know what they're going to be getting for the future, because offensive line's been a big miss over the past few years for a lot of teams.
here's the thing. That can be true to a certain extent, but this is why the transfer portal was created in the first place, especially with these quarterback developments, because obviously you already knew Brian Kelly was a wonky fit at LSU. This was not working out for him because, I mean, it wouldn't have even worked out in Notre Dame. And you're watching what Marcus Freeman is doing over there right now with C.J. Carr. Okay, so you think about Garrett Nussmeier, and I think the other problem of it was I had John Vogel on here a couple weeks ago, and we talked about, what the issue has been. The problem is that we have an awful lot of seniors that are quarterbacks, and a lot of them that would have to redshirt back because the development was not quite the same. Different coaching, different schemes. And you got to think about this. Billy Napier's gone in Florida. What is DJ Lagway going to do when you get the coach right? If you understand his strengths and the way. By the way, did you hear about the word about Lenora Sellers is going to be out in South Carolina? Yeah, he's going to be out. He's going to be out of South Carolina. And listen, I don't blame Lenora Sellers, but you're going to go somewhere where you know that they could use your abilities. Because South Carolina, I'll be honest with you, they're more of pocket, like their type of scheme fit, than they are of just a dual threat of what Lenore Sellers is. It's similar to Florida with DJ Lagway. So if you could figure that out, but that's what a lot of these quarterbacks are doing. Fernando Mendoza, by the way, he comes out of one program, goes to Indiana, and again, I was very wrong about Indiana. I thought after Curtis Rourke, I didn't think Kurt Cignetti would have figured that out, but Fernando Mendoza looks great. He looks great up on the pocket. I watched him several times be mobile, but here's the other thing. Look at what John Mateer is looking like in Oklahoma, and they ended up beating Alabama this week.
Look at that to be a possible destination of having where Lenore Sellers goes.
Yeah, that could be a position of a position in which he could be very good at. Because
or
honestly,
USC.
I think, yeah. Well, here's my thing: Jordan Mayava. I think what Lincoln Riley, what he has proven is that even with the quarterbacks that he's had in the past, Jordan Mayava looks pretty clean. He looks a lot like your Mac Jones, like Brock Purdy type, where you're getting the distributed throws. And USC, they're making up for it. And all they have to do is just get the defense, run game, staying consistent up into that. And I think Lincoln Riley would be in good shape. But yeah, I think that's a lot of it. I don't think it's necessarily because college, here's the thing. You get quarterback camps while you're up in high school. You have plenty of time to build and develop. Okay, from there to college, it's the pros in which that they don't develop well because it's high strung. It's, expectations are high and they're fast and you have to do it now because that's just the way that it is. Everybody wants to win. Nobody wants to lose. And that's exactly what the predicament that we're in. But that also fails a 3 to 5 year project. Okay. You also have to look at the downside, the con side of it, because if you don't give this puppy time and patience and let it grow, that's why a lot of coaches also get fired. So you have to be able to work your side of the ball and even get the right prospects up from here. All right, Chase of the news.
And now, here we go. Hey, everyone, it's story time. This is the Hot Press.
All right, listen, even though that I live here in Denver, Colorado, and I am impressed with how the Denver Broncos beat the Kansas City Chiefs this week. Here's the thing, though. You also got to understand, it was actually pretty crazy, but I think there's actually some truth to this. So the way the Broncos are playing right now this up-and-coming season, they are in the driver's seat to being the number 1 seed in the AFC. It's not Buffalo. And as much as I love Indianapolis, I don't know. They may end up fighting it for that position as well. So, with the Broncos, I love their defense. But the biggest $1 million question has always been, what do we know about Bo Nix? What do we think of him? And it's actually kind of interesting. So yesterday, he came away with 24 of 37, 295 passing yards, and had no touchdown score in the air. Neither did he throw a pick. And it got me thinking something. So I don't remember, and I don't recall an analyst that was up and on the radio on Fox Sports. But apparently he made a comment, and it got me doing a little bit of some digging research. People will think this is crazy. I don't think it is. So I present to you, and I do this as a fun thing here. I do kind of like a quarterback mystery type of deal. This is the first time I'm actually ever doing this. So, okay. You watch Bo Nix right now in 11 games. 61.2% completion percentage, 2,400 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, 8 picks, 86 passer rating. Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Look at the quarterback next to him. Okay, mystery quarterback. I don't know who this is, but 11 games, has lesser of a completion percentage of 55.3, has about a few more yards than what Bo Nix has at 2,472, 2 less passing touchdowns, same amount of picks, and he has a passer rating about less, 82.9. Who is this quarterback, by the way? And you'll be shocked. Oh my God. That's Mark Sanchez of 2010. I couldn't believe I couldn't believe it. I listen. What's happening with the Denver Broncos was the same thing that happened in the 2010 New York Jets. The only difference about both of them is that, number one, the Broncos are leading the entire NFL in sacks. Okay, and they also have a very good defensive percentage as far as shutdown in a lot of different key categories. Very good on third down shutdowns. And the only thing is that Bo Nix, when you look at the efficiency rate, he has a better completion percentage than Mark Sanchez, much more efficient, about similar amounts of passing yards. But here's the other thing, 16-8 to 18-8. What did Mark Sanchez have to do with Rex Ryan's defense? And then not to mention Jericho Cotchery, Sean Green, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Braylon Edwards in 2010. What did he have to do with all those guys? And then including Dustin Keller, the tight end. Remember him? He didn't even have to do much. He had to literally be up on cruise control. Had to literally, control just the time of possession, make the smart amount of throws, and not turn the ball over. And this is the Jets we're talking about. Isn't that crazy? And the thing about it is that Denver, this is why it's so hard for me to understand about Bo Nix when I watch this stat in 11 games. I thought the guy was nuts. And then when I did my own research, he's not. He ain't crazy. I actually kind of believe him. And the one thing about it is Denver is 9-2, and I respect it. But here's the thing. As I've said, the offense at times could tend to be a diesel engine. Dink and dunks, small throws, eventually stretch the field. But a 22-19 game, I mean, here's the thing. You're without J.K. Dobbins for the entirety of the season. Okay, that hurts. But however, though, Jaleel McLaughlin, and then you also got the rookie R.J. Harvey, and then you got Bo Nix's feet. Okay, so they're running the football in any and every way that he can. And that's one of the things that Sean Payton, what he likes about it is that that's the stuff that it's manageable. But I couldn't even believe it because this is also similar to the New York Jets in 2010. Because Mark Sanchez, when he came into the league out of USC, you all remember this. He didn't even have to do much. He had to make the clean, precise throw. He had to basically be less mistakes. And then, not to mention, you had to think about, for several of those occasions, how many times, you watch that Jets offense and how many times that it had to get going at some point. But it was defensively with Bart Scott and a lot of other good pieces. Darrelle Revis in the secondary. I mean, you got Pat Surtain, but they got a lot more pieces in the secondary. So to me, Bo Nix looks a lot like Mark Sanchez. Whether I'm hurting feelings or I'm poking bears, that's what I believe. I thought the guy was nuts. I really believe him. And I think this is a testament in what you can understand an offense. It took me a lot of digging to do this. Bo Nix I know a lot of people don't think that he's the sexiest quarterback than when you think about it, from Caleb Williams to Drake May. But it's manageable in Denver's offense. It's not manageable to Washington. It's not manageable to Chicago, because you'd be probably looking at a higher talented Mitch Trubisky. But it's manageable up in Denver. And Denver's defense gets sacks, gets takeaways, knows how to get the ball. That's the way they play. But I just think that, in my opinion, with Bo Nix, I think we cracked the code. Figured it out. Having a Mark Sanchez season. Like, you were literally just as shocked as I am. And that's in 2010. I remember that since it was yesterday. Dustin Keller, Braylon Edwards, Jericho Cotchery, Sean Green, and LaDainian Tomlinson in your backfield. And you are literally playing the same similar thing?
Yeah, but there's been a lot of games, like a lot of them this year, that have been like extremely close. And
yes, but here's the thing, though, is that Denver's offense, you and I both know, has been a diesel engine. Okay, it's slow to start cleaning itself up, and then eventually it runs well. It purrs. It's smooth. But the thing is,
the defense is great, but like this is like
here's the thing: they have more sacks than the 84 Bears. They had more sacks than the 84 Bears. Like that's insane. But I know it's a shock to everybody. But this is the thing, though: the Jets in this predicament, they made it all the way to the AFC Championship until they lost to Pittsburgh. Okay, you got to think about the teams right now in the playoffs. Okay, Colts for sure can match up with you toe-to-toe, as much as Kansas City even lost up in that game. Defensively, I thought they did okay, but it was offensively, the play calling, it was a sloppy mess. But I feel like they played it up close, but we know as division rivals, that is going to happen. But I'm thinking about this in the playoffs. How long of this do you handle until you go into the playoffs and you meet somebody with your similar physicality on the other side of their defense, and then your offense, you're not getting it going? That's the one thing I would hate for Denver fans' hearts to get broken, because that happens.
Let me take a look at the NFL playoff picture and see how it is right now, because if like it's crazy to think about, because like don't get me wrong, the Broncos have a phenomenal defense. Like, they have one that can match up with any team in the league right now. But as of now, the Broncos are the number one pick in the NFL.
Yeah, they're the number one seed.
Sorry, number one seed in the NFL, which means they get the first round bye, and then they would play the lowest remaining seed. And out of the lowest remaining seeds, they have Buffalo at 5.
Yep.
Chargers at 6,
yep,
and Jags at 7. The Buffalo Bills are probably the only team in that matchup, unless Justin Herbert plays dominantly like he did the first matchup.
I just don't think with this injury decimated offensive line and the way that they're ranked right now is going to literally help with the Chargers. I am by far as disappointed that this organization has not addressed that. And at the same time, here's the other thing. To me personally, when I look at these two teams, or these three, two of them are likely favorable, Buffalo and the Chargers. Because here's the thing. Buffalo, that defense has given up way too many points. Way too many all season. And you're Sean McDermott. You should have figured this out by now. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think he's on his heels. The Chargers, they need a lot of offensive line help. Now, granted, they're getting Amari and Hampton back and all the rest of it, but look at the team that right now is currently 3-0 against the AFC West. That's the Jags. They haven't even faced Denver yet, and that's the other scary part you also have to consider. Because, again, when I watched that game, I watched it all 4 quarters in disappointment. But what I did learn from that is Liam Cohen basically kept his foot on the gas pedal all game, because Bashul Tutin, he's a problem, along with Travis Etienne. But here's the other thing that was also their biggest benefactor, Jacoby Myers, the one they traded for from the Raiders. He is a big benefactor, especially on the outside routes. He came up with good catches for Trevor Lawrence. I'm not saying that the Jags are a team which I take seriously, but all I'm saying is that was a very well-rounded game. They dominated on all cylinders, and that's the stuff teams like that you do not want to face.
Yeah,
Denver hasn't even faced them yet. And that's why I'm a little concerned if I'm Denver.
It's crazy to think about, though, because like you look at at their schedule and everything, games that they have won by a slim margin. The Titans, week 1, 20-12. The Colts, they lost to because of their own undoing, 29-28.
Well, yeah,
the Colts, they already played the Colts, and the Colts won. The Chargers, you lose 23-20 against them. Then you beat the Eagles 21-17.
Yep.
You barely beat the Jets 13-11. You beat the Giants because of their own undoing as well. They should have lost that game. And then you beat the Texans. The Texans should have won that game.
Which was
beat
ugly.
The Raiders by 3 on Thursday night, 10-7. And that is another game that they should have lost. And then you just beat the Chiefs 22-19.
But you know what's funny about
the Chiefs fallout that they had this year, you don't win that game either. So going into the playoffs, they've got a favorable schedule coming up against the Commanders, Raiders, Packers, Jags, Chiefs, and then Chargers to end the season, which they could very well, depending on how they play, could end up 13-4 with the number 1 seed in the NFL, which would put them at the lowest remaining seed, which would put them probably against Jacksonville if they sneak into the playoffs.
But you see what I mean is there are teams right there that are hungry to be in the hunt of the AFC. Because here's the funny thing. How many close games did Kansas City win last year? 15? I think it was about 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what they are? You know what they
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, no, but here's the argument. Okay, so they won about close to 15 games, I think it was last year. You know what they are right now on close games? They're 0-5. They're 0-5 in close game. The games that bit them in the ass is literally happening now. It's happening for Kansas City. And you cannot expect Kansas City to go toe-to-toe up with that. But the point is with Denver is Bo Nix is pretty much having a Mark Sanchez season because we've seen this before where he's been on cruise control, hasn't had to do much, and the defense has been doing a lot more than what the Jets defense did that year. But here's the thing. Remember what we saw with the Minnesota Vikings last year with Sam Darnold and how good that they were playing, and they were playing a lot of really good close games? And how'd that turn out? You got to understand, the closer the games get, the harder it's going to be to reach the finish line. That's always what the NFL is about.
See realistically on the schedule coming up with the Commanders, Raiders, Packers.
Well, I
Jags,
see them winning
Chiefs,
against. I see them winning against the Commanders and the Raiders. The Commanders are injury decimated. The Raiders right now are just a complete mess. You said Green Bay is their next game. Okay, Green Bay is a toss-up for me because as much as I love Micah Parsons and I love how Green Bay's defense often gets them up in games, what is Jordan Love? I don't even know what this young offensive team. I mean, again, they should have lost that game against the Giants. I'm not going to lie to you. If it wasn't for that corner throw into the end zone to Christian Watson to save their ass, I mean, that was great. But then, so after that, then they got the Jags, Chiefs, and Chargers. So I feel like, I hate to say this,
it depends on what version of the Jags show up.
Well, where are they? Are they at home or in Jacksonville?
Let's see. Oh, wait, no, that's the Chargers. It looks like they are at Denver.
Toss-up game for me. Toss-up game because I don't know how Trevor Lawrence is going to play. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's an afternoon game in the altitude. I don't even know how they're going to honestly come back with that. But here's the other thing. You got Kansas City again for a second time, and you don't think they're going to come out?
Day.
Yeah, you don't think they're going to come out pissed off? They are. And then you got the Chargers in the last game. And even the Chargers themselves are good. Because you know what the Chargers' next few games are, right? Because they've got the Raiders after the bye. Then they got the Eagles, the they also got Kansas City after that. Then they have the slate of Dallas, Houston, and then the Broncos.
Yeah, and they'll have Joe Alt and
They won't.
Joe Alt's out for the season?
Joe Alt's out. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're done.
When did he get injured for the season?
He got
was only out a couple games.
He got injured the week before Pittsburgh.
What was the injury?
The injury was a torn ACL.
Oh.
Yep. And
Joe
actually, no.
Alt with the torn ACL.
Actually, no. It was actually the high ankle sprain. The same foot that he suffered the high ankle sprain weeks ago got re-aggravated again. And it's going to require ankle surgery. So that's what I'm saying.
They will get Omarion back, so that's a plus.
Yeah, but ask yourself this. In PFF grade, you think I'm gonna trust a center who's literally 36th amongst 36 centers? A left guard who's literally 35th amongst 36 left guards? A right guard that literally has been decimated with injuries and concussion protocols, along with tackles that you don't even know can honestly block C-19?
They'll get Ethan Posick. He's not going to be a free agent this year, but I know that Cleveland wants to go younger on their offensive line, so get him this offseason.
They have to. Because here's the thing. Your tackle, and I've had to say this multitudes of times for people, just because you have superstar tackles does not mean you have fixed the interior offensive line. And do you think tackles are more vocal on the offensive line? No, it's the center.
Center's the captain of the offensive line.
The center is the captain of the offensive line for everybody in the back. So the minute that you actually get, here's the thing. I would want them to go and get that offensive lineman from Utah. I want them to go and get that one kid, Slaughter, who's actually a really good interior offense.
Which offensive lineman from Utah? Spencer Fano?
Yeah.
He's a right tackle.
Well, I think there was another kid, though, too. There was another
kid
that
he's
also,
a left tackle.
I think he's more. But I think one of them he's more versatile.
You're thinking of Connor Lew from Auburn.
Well, Connor Lew from Auburn. I mean, let's be honest. He's going to be off the board that easily. He's going to be.
That's a great center. That dude is a fantastic center.
It is. But here's the other thing too: is like you look at other teams that are desperate for quarterbacks. I mean, you could do business with that. Or even if you could get a center up somewhere, somebody is going to eventually get moved.
Jackson Powers Johnson could be available, but I doubt that they would trade.
You better hope that they could, but we all know the history of it. They're not trading within rivals.
No.
But again, it's honestly, if you could make it right, that's all it is. This offensive line, Herbert now is the most blitzed, most sacked, most hit, most pressured quarterback in the league. And amongst that, he's literally putting up top 5 numbers. That's what I'm saying. It was an utter disappointment. None of them looked like they wanted to play. And Jacksonville just got the best of them. So they got to come back with that. But that's the thing is Denver, to wrap this up, is I would hate for Denver fans' hearts to get broken because of things like that. Don't say I didn't warn you. But all I'm saying is that Bo Nix is pretty much playing in cruise control. Okay, you're asking him to do certain things. I mean, what would the Eagles be without Lane Johnson with Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts, you know what's funny about that is that Lane Johnson actually contributes more to Philadelphia's
Lane Johnson's
wins.
out for the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, what do you think Jalen Hurts is honestly going to look like without his star tackle?
Ooh, I am curious on who the Eagles play.
I think the Eagles are playing another physical team, though, I think.
Let's see. All right. So their remaining schedule, they just played the Lions. They play the Cowboys this next week at 4:25. Then they play the Bears, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Bills, and they round it out with the Commanders to end the season.
Yeah.
And they're going to be 4 to 6 weeks without Lane Johnson.
I'm telling you, this was very much an 11-6 season when I saw it around the corner. By the way, how's that Patriot take? How's that one working out? I told you that the Patriots will be making the playoffs before Pittsburgh. It seems like that one.
Pittsburgh's number 1 in the division right now, so they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, but you know what? Your worst nightmare is Aaron Rodgers having a wrist injury. You know, is that?
Mike Tomlin went to the playoffs, winning 3 games in a row with Mason Rudolph, the one year, finishing 10-7. I am done
Yeah, what
doubting
happened? He
the
got
Pittsburgh
blown. He got
Steelers and
blown
Mike
out
Tomlin.
against Buffalo, didn't he?
They did, but they still made the playoffs. Like, I'm done doubting Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers because he somehow, some way, finds a way to have a winning record and makes it into the playoffs. Gets bounced the first round, but makes it in. And it's just year in and year out, you're seeing the same thing over and over and over again with him. Now, I know that the ownership's getting frustrated with Mike Tomlin because of the lack of playoff success and everything. And there could be a change around the corner with him, but we don't know. That would be the biggest blockbuster news that we would ever see come across this channel if Mike Tomlin got fired.
Well, wouldn't be surprised. That's
I wouldn't.
literally what, you do get what you sign up for up from there.
Some coaches overstay their welcome with an organization because they've just been there too long. They're coasting on cruise control. And, sometimes a fresh, innovative new mind makes things a whole lot better. So we'll have to wait and see what happens if they decide to make a change or not, or if they want to stick with Mike Tomlin for the next decade.
Yeah, we'll find that out. We'll find it out. All righty, folks. We appreciate you for coming by on the show. Shout out to Coach Jag himself, man. What great insights that we had from him. I was fired up about it. But lots to come here on the Facebook Talk Show. Tune in for us on Thursday because we got more interviews coming your way. And don't miss out on who we may end up having next here up and onto the show. With Chase and myself, have a great night, and we'll see you guys. Enjoy the Monday night game, by the way. Cowboys Raiders. Maybe a little bit of a snooze fest, but interesting to see what the Cowboys have up from there. But take care, you guys. Enjoy the rest of the night, and we'll see you guys on Thursday.